People with ADD/ADHD, what are your biggest problems related to ADD/ADHD? Not being able to do something even if you need to do it. You just can't. Executive function issues. Thinking a grocery trip is going to take the whole day and being surprised Pikachu when it takes less than an hour. Time blindness. Being in class and then realizing you didn't get anything of what the teacher said. BC you were thinking about why there is so much pumpkin food in Harry Potter when pumpkins don't really grow in Europe. Attention deficit. Thinking one little mess up ruins your life. EX thinking someone hates you because you accidentally bumped into them in the hall. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. Intensely focusing on one subject for weeks or months at a time. Hyperfixation. Trouble sleeping. Insomnia. Having very high energy. Hyperactivity. Having emotional outbursts. Emotional control issues. Not everyone with this disorder has all of these symptoms, but these are common. Constant internal monologue interrupts studying, watching TV, and even playing games. Anybody else with ADHD ever have that feeling where there is so much to but you can't bring yourself to do anything, like you just sit around thinking about how much shit you have to do? Holding patterns. For example, if I work at 12.30, I can't do anything for the day until I go to work. I have to wait to go to work. Medication has helped that, but sometimes I slip back into a holding pattern and do absolutely nothing until it's time to leave. Time. It's weird. Telling me about an appointment in 2 days is meaningless. It's not today, so it might as well be 2 years from now. Also paralysis. If plans suddenly change, I can't do anything. I can physically do nothing until the new plan is completed. Watching TV. I start a new movie. 5 minutes in I'm already on my phone. New TV series. After 10 minutes I'm already bored and have to stop it. It's very annoying because I'm curious what is happening next, but I can't focus enough. Smartphones just seem designed to fuck over people with ADHD. Oh, you have problems concentrating? Well, how about we give you a device that has instant access to all the information in the world on it. Hyperfixation. If I'm into something, it's staying that way at least for a couple weeks, and I will try to learn everything I can about it. Life is bloody hard on so many levels. The crazy ideas that go nowhere, the buying into ideas and hobbies you drop instantly, the sky-high highs and lows of relationships burn most normal people out. The inability not to be reactive to situations and the emotions that come with it is a constant problem, especially as a guy. Most people take for granted planning and executive functions, but that's broken with ADHD, so constantly forgetting and putting off, or just blind to doing the things that are important short, medium and long term. I know what I need to do but just can't, so it's chaos and deadline chasing all the time. Then the #K at risk taking that other just think you're crazy, and the ADHD brain thinks it's great fun. It's great in your teens and 20s if it doesn't kill you, but catastrophic as you get older. There's a profound mental discomfort when doing something your brain doesn't want to do, if you're medicated. It's genuinely mentally taxing to do things that are boring, even if there's something you want to be doing. Now, this is better than when you're unmedicated, where it's simply impossible to push through and force yourself to do them at all. Something that hasn't been mentioned anywhere is the depression. ADHD inherently messes with your reward system, and in doing so, can in and of itself be a cause for depression, specifically one that looks similar to persistent depressive disorder with depressive episodes. Many ADHD symptoms are actually persistent depressive symptoms, or made worse by the depression involved. It's also often comorbid with anxiety, which can be governed by similar mechanisms to depression, though not always. Though it can be influencer enough of anxiety without inherently causing it, you fundamentally think and act differently from others, and the world isn't built to your scale. Also, it's practically impossible for me, and other ADHDers I know, to form habits. Even if you do something at the same time every day, if you accidentally miss a day, chances are you'll miss the next few too. It's a conscious effort to do things on a daily basis, especially hygiene. Shout out to dental hygiene, I promise I really do try. Also, ADD isn't a real diagnosis anymore, as far as I know. It's just considered a subtype of ADHD now, since it's not really different except in how it looks on the outside. 1. Hypersensitivity, for example, labels in clothes has to be removed immediately. Also, heat bothers me extremely. 2. Drifting off way too often. I'll especially hate this when I drift off while my wife tells me something that is important to her. She gets mad at me. I get mad at me. Fun times, but I love the fact that I'm always bursting with energy and hardly get tired. Talking too fast and jumping from subject to subject in matter of minutes. Getting mad about dumb things and not letting it go, i.e. something as small as someone eating their food with their hands or making an annoying noise. Also, having diarrhea of the mouth, like sometimes saying things out loud that should have been kept in, or interrupting people constantly. Lastly, getting bored easily. It was a miracle I got through high school and college without people or myself noticing I had ADHD until I got tested as an older adult, because my doctor suspected it, when having a conversation with him. Hobby collecting. I'll get into hobbies, go gung-ho buying things related to that hobby, only to get bored and move on to a new hobby in a few weeks. Rinse/repeat. Needing to get work done but constantly finding myself far away from it. Like I concentrate for 10 minutes, then something in my work reminds me of that time we went and played Ding Dong Ditch. Where did the word ditch come from? Then a blur. Then I realize while I am outside checking my oil that I should be inside getting my work done. Also self-medicating. Drinking caffeine because it stimulates me and helps me concentrate and get things done faster, when I should probably be on Adderall, but I'm scared of what it can do to my heart. Drinking and smoking weed heavy because I thought they were miracle potions that turned me into a social butterfly, but they made me lose all control and I really should have been taking anxiety medication. Hyper-focusing on things that stimulate me. And forgetting what time it is as hours go by and I should have left 10 minutes ago. I'll like everything. I know a lot of people love to self-diagnose and say they have ADD or ADHD, but those people also love romanticizing it. While ADHD, what I have, isn't terrible. It's not that amazing. So, for myself, I'm either hyper-fixated on something, or I have zero motivation to do something. And that fixation can be amazing for getting work done. But if someone breaks my concentration, it's gone, and is not coming back. I get distracted very easy, and it's not like so I was walking to the store OMG a duck it's so cute. No, we aren't dogs. It's like, you can't tell a fucking story for the life of you without taking a million different paths to get there. If I don't talk too much I talk way too little. My energy is either 100 or 0. It comes as easily as it goes. The mental illnesses that stem from it. With ADHD can come a whole bunch of other mental illnesses. And I was so lucky to get a few of those. Constantly. Forgetting. Like. Not just simple things. But everything. It's like WTF. It's so inconvenient. Makes me look and feel like a dumbass. There's lots more but I need to actually do schoolwork that's due TMRW. I have 2 assignments rip, and get my head off this desk. The person behind me might kill me if I don't stop tapping as well, doing an ADHD thing and I'm noticeably worse at my job than I otherwise would be. Dopamine deficiency. No matter what impulsive shit you do, you're always just one drop short of a full tank. Being an aspiring writer with ADHD is a hell on earth. I'm 5 chapters into this story. Fuck it, let's start another one. Hyperfixation and lack of impulse control is a big one for me. Managing deadlines is bad. Thank God I have a job suited to having ADHD. School is damn near impossible. Knowing you need to do something, and even wanting to be able to do it, but for some reason being completely incapable of actually sitting down and doing is definitely the worst feeling. Procrastinating. I tell myself all the time, yeah, I'm going to get all my homework done early. And then stuff happens and I don't finish it until the day before. Telling myself to focus on the conversation, but I end up getting so distracted by me telling myself to focus on the conversation that I simply end up not knowing what's happening anymore. Decision paralysis, rejection sensitivity, texture sensitivity, clothing, food, hyperfocus, people, food, interests, but I don't pick. Procrastination can only make one plan per day, and until then I wait for the thing to happen, because if I get distracted with anything I am sure to miss the appointment. Increased hypervigilance during a crisis, then prolonged burnout makes depression and anxiety much worse. The normal world is not built for people with ADHD, and people unintentionally make us feel guilt for not going along with the crowd. Planners? Just work harder? Oh, why didn't I think of that? Not really a problem, but something that I do is that I can somehow procrastinate 80% of the day but get all my homework in on time. Starting a task and completing a task. Everything in between is gravy. The other challenge is remembering what you commit to do. Add those together and go. Something that I really hate about it is sensory issues. Usually it doesn't bother me too much, but it could be the smallest pain/discomfort that is the worst. Tags in clothes? Nope. Clothes too tight? Nope. Clothes too loose? Nope. Shower curtain touching me in the shower? Nope. Wore the wrong socks shopping? Every time. Me, I'm going to be ultra productive today and finish tasks X, Y, and Z. My brain, the hell you are. You'll Google who the president of Zimbabwe was in 1873, then go off on a learning tangent about the geopolitical issues that lead up to World War I, and you'll like it. I get absolutely obsessed with things. They're all think about every waking hour. It kinda sucks being so obsessed with one thing I can't enjoy anything else. But the worst is between obsessions. Between obsessions I fall into a depression because nothing provides me enough dopamine. Nothing interests me. I'm bored. I'm basically just waiting until I find something else to obsess over. Over the years I've learned how to deal with this a little bit better. For example, exercise is really good for me between obsessions and help me not fall as deeply into that depression. But it still isn't an enjoyable experience. Also, it is expensive switching hobbies so often. At this point I seem to cycle between them though, so I keep the stuff and just dig it out when it comes back around. The biggest one for me is sleep. I cannot get my mind to be quiet long enough to fall asleep when I need to, i.e. having to sleep for work the next day, and as a result, I'm tired all the fucking time. When I was medicated, it was such a game changer. I couldn't believe it. The other big one I find is focusing on tasks that don't have a dopamine payoff. Mundane stuff like schoolwork or even basic chores that need to be done have no reward payoff to me, so I'll push them off or have to force myself into doing them somehow. I have ADD and Asperger's. I work full-time as a delivery driver and it's extremely exhausting. I just want to get fired so I can get welfare. I'm trying to find a new job, but interviews is literally my worst nightmare. I'm terrible at talking about myself. Executive dysfunction kicks my ass. I can barely get myself to do my homework, and when I do it half the time I don't get it because I couldn't get myself to pay attention in class. It's a vicious cycle. Leaving a conversation and thinking, fuck, I talked way too much. They probably think I'm an idiot. Ugh/wish I just stayed quiet. And even if you realize it during the conversation, you continue talking because you want to share all the cool things you know about a topic because you wasted an absurd amount of time fixating on it. I hyper-focus on intrusive thoughts about social situations from my past, a lot. It contributes to my social anxiety, and I'll often go down a shame spiral before realizing that it's fine and no one else remembers it. I also have to remind myself that the thought that everyone hates me is also just social anxiety and rejection dysphoria. I'll also struggle with inertia. I'll walk past the same mess 15 times and say, hey, I'll clean that up after dinner, before bed, tomorrow morning, after work, maybe the weekend, until I realize how stupid that is and take the 2 minutes to hang up the jackets that are hanging off a chair. Very annoying. I am annoyed with myself constantly. Not getting projects done on time and being hypersensitive to criticism. I absolutely could not concentrate or pay attention in school. So, being in the 80s, I got put on Ritalin, which absolutely helped, but I suffered from bad side effects. I had extreme paranoid. I was in elementary and thought my phone was bugged. I thought cameras were set up around my house monitoring my TV watching habits. I felt like everyone was watching my every move nonstop. And I dealt with it from age 8 to 18. It really messed up a large portion of my childhood. But the Ritalin wore off at night, when it was time for homework and studying. So I struggled bad to get stuff done at home. I didn't know why until I got older, so it never occurred to me to do that stuff when I got home. I'm 41 now, and though I still have it, it's not as bad as it once was. No idea why. I guess the fact I'm not in a classroom every day helps a lot. I can tolerate a day or two of classroom type training, etc., but the longer it goes on, the worse the ADD gets again. Structure, keeping my place clean, getting to appointments on time, routines, planning, lack of motivation and inability to follow through on projects that takes time, repetition, or focus, constantly compensating for dopamine deficiency by never being able to sit still, seeking rushes though sex, shopping, risky behaviors, etc. Inability to focus on things like conversations or studies, stress and low energy, horrible short-term memory. Paying attention to something I don't care about for more than 15 minutes. I can hardly ever finish anything I start. And God, I start so many things. I can't ever finish a project I start, with one exception, working on my car. I have about 30 small to medium projects that I have started that are all abandoned because one tiny thing comes up that delays my progress and I immediately forget about the whole damn project and move on to something new. The only reason I follow through with my car is because it's my only car and I need it to get to work. That doesn't mean I don't put off more important repairs for dumb creature comforts that in no way affect the functionality of my car. When I'm at work, the same thing happens when I'm multitasking. I'll just randomly stop working on something and go do something else without even noticing.